right, thank you, candidates. Next question is, what kind of health care plan do you support? Medicare for all, or what and why?
I just want to correct something. Obama didn't give up on those plans. The Republicans betrayed us. Not a single Republican voted for the ACA. Many Democrats voted for it and they lost their seats. In fact, when in Congress there's what's called a conference committee, which is where the House and Senate bills have to match, and they fight it out amongst themselves. What happened with the ACA was when we lost the Senate bill when we lost Senator Kennedy's seat to Scott Brown, we lost the cloture-proof majority. So what happened was Nancy Pelosi literally had to take the Senate bill and pass it in the House. And that's how we got the ACA, because she knew she had not a single Republican would support it. And so I think we need to be really clear on how we got to this position and how precarious our healthcare system is. It is absolutely dependent upon having Democrats in Congress who can protect it. I support us expanding it and making sure that we reach universality. And I believe that we should have a public option for people who lose their jobs. But we are so much closer to losing what we have now than we are to getting to Medicare for all or anything like that. And we have literally, the courts are right now deciding whether or not they can strip the ACA completely off the books. What we need to do is as Democrats, is fight for that. That is where we are right now. We are not in a position where we can make wholesale changes.
Next question. What is your position on war with Iran, and do you think that the president would be able to initiate hostilities without authorization from Congress? And we're starting with...
Can you repeat the question for me? I just want to make sure I got it completely.
What is your position? Oh, sorry. What is your position on war with Iran, and do you think the president would be able to initiate hostility without authorization from Congress?
I think I do not support war with Iran. I believe that we should try everything we can to get back into the Iranian nuclear deal that was working. It was bringing the Iranians to the table and to the world community. It was making sure that their people were eating. So I believe that that's how we do it. I do not believe that the president has the right to attack Iran without a new AMUI or AM, whatever the code. AMUF, thank you. Sorry. I think I'm getting sick, so my brain is like, all these letters are sort of coming together. And so I'm sorry about that. Yeah. No, I think it's just the flu, which is actually going to kill us all anyway. No, seriously, like, this is a legitimate statistic. 16,000 people have died of the flu this season. To completely change the subject, I'm sorry about that. But I think that what we need to do is we need to retain congressional powers. We need to go back to actually forcing Congress forcing the administration to live under a budget and a strict budget, because the ultimate power of Congress is the purse string. And we're literally allowing the administration to write checks and to spend the money without it being authorized. And I think that's where the real power should be controlling the administration.
What is your plan to improve access to quality education and make college more affordable?
As I said, this is always an issue that's really near and dear to my heart. The part I left out and what Jeff was alluding to when he said you have multiple degrees, I have been lucky enough to take my Head Start education that taught me how to learn, and then I graduated obviously from high school, and I got a bachelor's degree and I have a master's degree in American government, specializing in congressional and federal policymaking. And that's when he said, you have multiple degrees. That's what he meant. I also have, thank you. Thank you. I also amassed $230,000 worth of student loan debt, and it has affected, it's amazing. Everyone in the room is just like, it always goes, wow. And it's literally affected every single decision I've made as an adult. We have to, making college affordability is imperative. I believe that we should have a system where it shouldn't bankrupt your future to get to get the degree that's supposed to set up your future. I believe that we need universal pre-K, and we need a system my fear is that if we start going with, I've read all of the plans of the presidential candidates, and making free state tuition will destroy small private colleges. And it will primarily destroy the historically black colleges and universities, and it will destroy colleges like mine, which was an all-women's college. And those train leaders in a way that nothing else ever really does.
What personal story do you have that will resonate with voters in the 4th District?
As I said earlier, my mom, when I was born, was on welfare, and she'd been able to get job training. And I think the fact that we've been able to work our way from welfare to the middle class really is the story of almost every family in the 4th District. In particular for me, when we got off of welfare, my mom maintained the job that she had as a medical secretary. At that point, you could actually raise 2 kids working as a medical secretary, and a lot of times she worked nights bartending or waitressing. I actually learned to counting her tips in the morning at the kitchen table before I went to school. So she would hand me like all of the stacks of the dollar bills and the 20s and whatever she earned, and I would have to count it out. But the single most important thing for me was my education, and my mother really strived for that. And as I said, I was one of the first Head Start kids in Ohio, which taught me how to learn. And I know how important these programs are. That's why I'm so passionately supporting universal pre-K, because those are the programs those investments that were made in Ohio, that people made in Ohio when I was a toddler and a small child, are the investments that we're not making for the next generation. From where I went from there to here is the struggle of being an Ohioan. It's how we move forward. And we need to make sure that we're making those same investments in children for the next generation and the next generation. I saw a little girl here come in, and she looked maybe about 10, and these are really important lessons of being part of our community. And so I want to make sure that we are focusing on those things.
Jordan has received roughly 65% of the vote in each of the years that he has run. What is your strategy for targeting voters that will get Jordan/Republican votes below 50%? And let's start with Shannon.
Well, I think that the strategy has to be, it can't be one person, it has to be all of us together. And we have to bring a lot of people along. And I will say that Jeff and I and Mike have all agreed, whoever wins the nomination, the other two will support them throughout and thoroughly. And that's really important because we do need to come together. We need every Democrat together with us, and then we need to make sure that we're bringing along independents and Republicans and former Republicans who feel left and deserted by their party. And there are a lot of them. But I think that what we need to do is give people a reason to vote for us, not necessarily just a reason to vote against Jordan. Healthcare, for example, touches everyone's life. It's how we won in 2018. It's how we took the House. And one of the reasons that we did that is because Jim Jordan actively refused to allow the Republicans to support even pay lip service to an idea of a repeal and a replacement. He just wanted to repeal the ACA, and he still does, and that's his goal. And there are a lot of Republicans who suffer medical conditions that will be lost if the ACA is repealed. We need to talk to people on a level that explains to them what's really at stake in their personal lives. Because there's a lot at stake for every person in this district. And there's a lot of people who are just simply embarrassed by Jim Jordan and want him replaced. They feel, your congressman shouldn't have his own Saturday Night Live skit. That's unacceptable for, the community.
How can Jordan's voting record in Congress be used to convince District 4 voters that you are a better candidate?
I think that John Boehner, who I'm not in a habit of quoting, said it best. Jim Jordan's a terrorist, a legislative terrorist, and he absolutely is. The problem with Jordan is he's very good at understanding how the system works. That's how he's been able to blow it up, and that's how he's been able to destroy it. And I think that how you defeat him using his record is you just simply point out his record to people, because a lot of people don't understand and they don't know. They don't know that he actively supports cutting $800 billion from Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid to pay for a multi-billionaire tax bill. That tax bill, which was billed as middle-class tax relief, according to a joint economic committee on taxation study, says that 1 cent of middle-class Ohioans, on average, received that amount in tax relief from that bill. Billionaires received, multi-millions of dollars of tax money. The average Ohioan received 1 cent. We also, as I said earlier, we need to talk about his active attempt to destroy the healthcare system and the gains that we've made. The bread and butter issues are the issues that most people vote on and most people live by. But they're the issues that he has successfully been able to skirt. And that's what we need to stop. We need to have a real discussion, and we need to be really honest. And we need to be able to have facts that back it up and say, look, this is his voting record. Here's where he voted against giving you tax relief.
Over 300 bipartisan bills, 90% of them are bipartisan, have been passed in the House to help hardworking American families to lower health care costs, protect pensions, address gun violence, and others are sitting, and they're all sitting on Mitch McConnell's desk in the Senate. If you could pick one of those from the stack, which one would it be and why?
HR 1, I'm going to go. I'm going to choose HR 1. I'm going to go a little off of what the gentleman on the end, whose name I won't mention, and the companion bill to that, which is HR 4. HR 1 is the election security bill, but it also controls dark money and makes our elections more fair, and comes in ways that we can bring in more non-rich people into elected office and allowing them different ways to run. HR 4 is the Restoration of Voting Rights Act. And those two bills need to go together, because the center of our democracy is people being able to vote and them having their vote matter. Those are the two single most important things. Nothing else, the PRO Act, healthcare, none of that gets solved if we don't get dark money out of it and we get more people actively allowed to vote. And those are the two most important bills, and they're the reason that they're the two of the top 3 bills that were introduced into the House, and they're the top 3 bills that Mitch McConnell has no plan on bringing to the floor. So those are the two. If you want to do anything, call Rod Portman's office and ask him to vote on the election security and dark money bill and the restoration of the Voting Rights Act. He's not going to do it, but at least you will have done something, and it will be documented. And remember, if you can't vote, you can't participate in democracy. If you don't have money in our democracy at this point, you can't participate. Jim Jordan has $2.5 million worth of dark money. That's what we're all fighting against up here.
Just getting my bearings here. Okay, I have a feeling this is going to be a real quick round. Have you taken any large contributions from special interests? And we'll start with Shannon.
I have not. I have taken, I think, no special interest money at all. But I am really pleased that I can say that I think we've raised about 17,500 donors from every state in the union, and our average contribution is actually $20.21. So I'm really proud of that, actually. And so I want to thank everyone who's contributed, and I want to thank everyone who has supported our campaign. And I'm really, really pleased that we're moving forward.
All right, thank you, candidates. And here is your next question. Do you support national referendums?
Yeah.
Is the person that asked...
Right. Mike Gravel's version of national referendums is create a fourth branch of government called the people. And what it is that starts off with an initiative, just like how you have local referendums, state referendums where you vote on the issues. It's just like that, but it's on the national level. That's it. That's it in a nutshell. Yeah. Thank you. You're welcome.
Well, we have a national referendum system. We have a constitutional amendment process. Those are national referendums, and we made it, we obviously made it very hard because we have a huge population. So, the ERA amendment was finally passed, the 34th, 37th state. 38. 38. But every constitutional amendment is a national referendum. We make it difficult because of rewriting the organic law of this country has to be difficult because it has to match what the vast majority of people in the country want. 2/3 of the state legislatures, 2/3 and 3/4 of the House. So in the Senate. So we have that as a system. It's very difficult because we need it to be difficult. If it was easy to rewrite the Constitution, people would do it all the time. You know, Citizens United is not a it's a case law, but it's not organic law. We can pass a constitutional amendment to eliminate or to remove Citizens United as a law in this land, and those are the way that we can do it.
All right.
Referendums.
I was wondering. So thank you.